This is a brief account of Ahmedabad asset in that time, during the time when we had started this project there. There were total 2,700 employees, total 63 installations were there. Production was to the tune of 4,500 metric ton per day of crude oil, and total exploration area was 70-kilometer radius of Ahmedabad city. You can understand a huge amount of square kilometers were involved. Before we actually embark upon the technology of bioremediation, I would like to explain how the oil is explored, because although you all know, but it's only to understand the things in proper perspective. As you all know, crude oil is one of the most important source of energy today. And exploration of oil involves surveys, drilling, and production. These are the three aspects of exploration of oil. After the oil is produced, it is transported to refineries through pipelines, mainly. The oil produced from different wells is also transported through a network of pipelines to different installations. This is how a drilling rig looks like. And if you see carefully, on the side of the drilling rig, there is a SRP pump, which is on a producing valve, pumping out the oil which is there in the well using mechanical methods. This is how the SRP structure looks like. The oil is coming from the oil sand and the different parts of the pump, and there is a sucker rod which sucks it up, and with every stroke it sucks it up, and finally the oil goes up and comes out of the well. This is an oil well producing crude oil. Again, I think if you focus carefully, you can see a Christmas tree, and on top of that Christmas tree, you can see a wire line which is pulling the sucker rod inside this well so that the oil can flow in the well and come out, because it's not able to come out through its own force or self-flow. The pressures have gone down into the reservoir. That's why we need it. And this is a very common, depiction of an oil field. Whenever you see any picture about oil industry, crude oil industry, upstream oil industry, you see either a drilling rig or a SRP. One of the important activity of oil exploration and production is transportation of crude oil. Now, crude oil is transported from many oil wells through tankers, but the more efficient and most commonly used method is using pipelines, because it's much more cheaper, much more efficient to transport crude oil through pipelines over large distances. These pipelines which are carrying the crude oil are mostly buried under the ground. You can't see them on the top, and they are not there on the top because of obvious reasons. Because they are passing through different farms, roads, and bridges, and ponds, and lakes, and rivers, and all those things. And with time, these pipelines undergo wear and tear. In science parlance, we call this wear and tear as corrosion. This is an actual picture of pipelines of Ahmedabad asset. which is passing through a farmland of any one of the farmers there, I think you can understand the way the amount or the number of pipelines that are going through in this small area. So you can imagine the kind of stress they face, the kind of uh, corrosion they face, and the way they are going through this. And this is how the leakage starts. I request all the participants of this lecture to kindly focus on the presence of small puddle of crude oil which is gathered under a pipeline. It has gathered there not because there is any opening there or there is any valve there. It's gathered because this pipeline, which otherwise looks quite strong, quite correct, quite all right, has developed some leakage somewhere. And as a result of that, oil has started coming out and getting spread onto the farmland there. This is the beginning of an oil spill on land through a pipeline carrying a crude oil. These pipeline leakages cause environmental pollution due to oil spills in farmlands. I just showed you an example which contains toxic substances like organic naphthenics and all those things. Over a period of time, they may become sick, they may die also. If these domesticated animals which drink contaminated water from these water bodies are milk producing animals like cows, buffaloes, goats, etc. And this milk is consumed by humans, again contaminated with toxic substances are present in the crude oil. The humans population can also get sick and may result in even fatal cases of due to oil spills. Again, you are not supposed to spoil the forests. Water wells, well, you can understand if the pipeline leakage goes through the water, what do you call it, table, and from there to the water wells, nearby water wells, then the amount of damage it can do to the drinking water for many, even human consumption, and can be very, very dangerous. And it can also be very, very dangerous for human habitation. Wherever the human colonies are there, the pipelines are passing nearby, and the oil spill takes place. And as a result of the oil spill, the human habitation gets affected so adversely that they have to leave that place, they become sick, they can die. Oil spills can also occur due to several other reasons. I only gave you one major reason which we had tackled in Ahmedabad. As I told you in the beginning itself, though this is a general lecture on bioremediation of oil spills, my focus specifically will be the bioremediation of oil spills that we have done actually in Ahmedabad. But in order to justify the overall scope of the lecture, we must know what are the other methods of oil spills. There are pipelines going through a vast area of lands, and tankers also transport oil. There are cases of thefts and pilferages known all over the world. People try to steal the crude oil. Why they steal the crude oil? Because it's a source of energy and can be refined or unrefined, can be used as a fuel for their industry, for their other applications, and people want to want to use this. They think if it is free for us, just like, people go for power thefts. The power lines are going on top of our, in the cities, on top of our heads, on the poles, and people try and steal. There is a power theft from the power lines. Similarly, from these pipelines, there is a theft of the crude oil. So this theft results because they puncture the lines for the theft, and they leave the puncture open, and as a result, the oil spill starts. Similarly, there is a condition called blowout in a well. All the students, I think, are well aware of drilling process and the terminology blowout. Recently, we had a blowout in Bagjan, that was an Oil India Limited well in Assam. And there was a very good 2-episode series on Discovery Channel about how the blowout occurred and how it was capped. I recommend all of you to see that. But you must have heard about the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico in 2010, which was a BP oil well, and the extent and the gravity of this oil spill due to the blowout has been so enormous that one of the biggest company of the world exploring for oil had nearly become bankrupt, uh, paying for the compensations, paying for its damages which it has caused to the environment, and it has taken years and years to correct whatever has been spoiled or damaged um, in the environment in the Gulf of Mexico. If some of you are not aware of this BP oil spill, I would request you to Google it and try and find any videos, audios, or other literature on this, and you will imagine, you will understand the kind of damage an oil spill can cause, not only to the environment, but to the associated stakeholders. Similarly, war and terrorist activity, for those who are not very much interested in knowing about the history or geopolitics of the world, do not read much general knowledge, I will tell this very briefly. One fine morning, there was a ruler in Iraq, Saddam Hussein. He decided that I'm a big country and there's a small country full of oil and gas, Kuwait in front of as my neighbor, and he led his army into the Kuwait and captured it. Obviously, this was not an act which will be tolerated by any country in the world. So America intervened, United States along with its NATO allies, and they pushed the Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait. While coming out of Kuwait, coming back to Iraq, Saddam Hussein, what he did is he he uh, he put fire on many of the wells of the Kuwait. And due to that fire, which was later extinguished or extinguished by itself, there was a huge oil spill all over the different oil fields of Kuwait. And you won't believe, this activity has happened in 1990-91. And today we are in 2021. Even today, Kuwait is giving contracts because I have worked with a company which is a joint venture of ONGC OTBL. And OTBL was also engaged in cleaning of those oil spills of war and terrorist activity in Kuwait. So even in 2021, we could not clear the entire spill that has been caused due to war and terrorist activity in 1991. And it has to be cleared. So they are giving contracts after contracts after contracts so that they can have a clean, clear environment in their country by getting these oil spills cleared. So this is the magnitude of oil spill, huge oil spills of the world, which has changed the geopolitical scenario, the environmental scenario of the world. I'm giving only some examples. All these things are there. There may be other examples also. Similarly, just to uh, have you a feel that oil spills are very, very important. They cannot be taken lightly. It's not a simply, you cannot say this is an HSE function and why should we bother about it? It's everybody's baby. And then accident in oil tanker ships. Uh, there is a there was a ship called, and this is I'm giving you an example from India, MSC Chitra, and in Mumbai 2010 it met an accident near the shore, and the oil spill that has occurred due to this accident has come to the shore of Mumbai, uh, spoiling the beautiful beaches, Juhu Chowpatty and other beaches, and some mangrove plantation in the coastal areas, and a lot of work was done to clean these spills so that the original beauty was regained. This is MSC Chitra, and you can see that brown spot of the spill. This is a news report where states 1.63, actually it's not one, it's more, acres of mangroves destroyed, finds expert panel because of this marine oil spill in Mumbai. This is another, these are not theoretical things or some fancy pictures. These are real live pictures from India, from oil fields of India, ONGC, where you can see how the farmland, there is an environmental impact. How badly it has been, contaminated. This is an example of human habitation. Can these poor people live here now? I don't think so. And this probably can be an award-winning pick wherein the bird is alive, but for how long? It has been so badly drenched with oil that it's neither alive nor dead. Similarly, the fish, this is only one fish I'm showing. There is a whole lot of ships that die and come to the shore like this, coated with oil spills. And this is, beach has been spoiled totally. People are trying, but their trial is hopeless. It's a hopeless try to clean a spoiled beach. And this is how, when a blowout occurs, spilling the crude oil all over the sea, and how the sea looks like black. Absolutely beautiful blue green sea becomes black like a black night due to oil spills. Again, you can see a coastal area totally spoiled due to an oil spill. And this is another coastal area, and nearby human habitation is at loss to find out, to think what to do, what next. Their life is totally gone. What are the environmental impact of oil spills? Although you have very well understood by the pictures I have shown you of different areas and different types of oil spills, that what are the environmental impact of oil spills, but there are certain points which we can uh, dwell upon to understand the impact. When oil comes in contact with land, the plants and the animals die, and soil loses its fertility. So it's not only that if there is an oil spill in farmland, the crop that is standing over there is gone. You cannot have second crop, third crop, fourth crop after that. Subsequent crops are also gone. So the farmland is destroyed permanently. We don't want that. We want that farmland to be useful again. When oil comes in contact with inland water bodies and our groundwater, aquatic plants and animals die and water becomes toxic. I have already deliberated in detail how the toxic water can be dangerous for animals and humans both. Marine oil spills kill marine animals, plants, and destroy the marine ecosystem. So, whether it is on land, offshore, or water body, everywhere oil spill is disastrous. So, we have understood the impact of oil spills, environmental, human, social, whatever. And this is one thing is very clear, that oil spills cannot be ignored. They have to be treated, and they have to treat to put the environment back to its original clean, clear uh, state, what it was before the oil spill has occurred. How we can do it and how fast we can do it, both are, and how efficiently we can do it, how how much environmentally safe methods we can employ to do it. All these are the questions that I'm going to answer in this today's case study come lecture. There are two types of methods. The methods which are other than eco-friendly bioremediation, we will call them as conventional methods. We'll discuss about them, their merits and demerits, and then we'll go to our main method, which is eco-friendly method, and that is bioremediation. The conventional methods include landfilling, incineration, natural remediation, and chemical decomposition. In landfilling, what we do, we take the oil contaminated soil or sludge in protected concrete pits or landfill sites. The merits is easy. Easy in the sense you simply it's easy and immediate solution, because you simply need to transport it. Demerits are, it confines the pollution. What has happened actually? You have not treated the pollutant. You have simply shifted the pollution from one place to another. But the place where you have shifted, the landfill site, the concrete pit, there the oil spill is there with all its toxicity, with all its demerits. It's cost intensive, because if there is a huge oil spill involving large amount of soil, then transportation cost will be prohibitively costly. And it also leads to limitation of land because you cannot have indefinite amount of landfills. Risk of transportation of hazardous material is there if there is spillage on the way while transporting, causing problems on the way, and natural calamity can destroy protected pits inland. There can be some earthquake at the landfill site, at the protected pits, and that earthquake can release this pollutant and again cause the environmental damage. So these are the demerits. Madam, madam, madam. Second one is incineration. Burning of oil contaminated soil, oily sludge. You know, many people feel that, and you must have seen people burning their garbage outside their homes. Do you know the law on that? The law is that burning garbage is prohibited. Burning of those people who are living near Delhi know very well that every year in the winters, when the farmers of Punjab and Haryana burn their uh, uh, the remains of their crops in their fields, there is huge lot of pollution that comes into Delhi, and it causes a total, uh, very high suspended solids into the air of Delhi, choking feeling, environmental pollutions, and all. If the burning of crop causes so much of pollution of air, if the burning of garbage is not allowed by law because it causes environmental pollution, do you think burning of oil contaminated soil or oily sludge is justified? It is not. The only merit is easy and quick disposal of oil, but the demerits are many. One is emission of hazardous gases because burning of crop remain or maybe garbage can only be producing carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and some suspended matter. But burning of crude oil, it will produce oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur, besides carbon oxide, monoxide, and carbon dioxide. An enormous amount of poisonous fly ash is generated. Safe disposal of this fly ash is a big limitation. Incomplete combustion generates highly toxic and carcinogenic chemicals like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. And besides, you may have incinerator facility at a centralized place and your oil spill might have occurred long distance from there. You have to transport. So cost is there, transportation cost is there, and it is hazardous to transport a polluting material from long distances for incineration. So incineration is also not a eco-friendly method. It's not a viable method of disposal of oil spill. Then, if there is a small amount of oil spill has taken place, uh, let the spill be there where it is. Do nothing. And over a period of time, by natural factors like leaching, evaporation, oxidation due to light, This will convert into simpler compounds which are less toxic and ultimately to carbon dioxide, etc. And therefore, this is called as natural remediation. It's cost effective because you are doing nothing, but it increases air, soil, as well as water pollution. You have seen the pictures. Natural remediation is not an option. You cannot leave the spilled oil onto the surface, whether on land or in water bodies on land or in marine, because the amount of damage that it will do over a period of time cannot be tolerated. So natural remediation is therefore not an option. Then last but not the least is chemical decomposition. Uh, by this, but this has been used. This is something which is being used where there is no other option, and we have to do something fast, especially in water bodies, large water bodies like marine environment, where we put in some chemicals. These chemicals solubilize uh, oil droplets into water. It's like using emulsifiers to emulsify the spilled oil into that large water bodies as in phase, and these emulsion droplets then are not visible, are not that available for some time, and it seems the water has become clear because now oil is not visible. This is easy and quick method, but it has got huge amount of uh, repercussions like demerits, like it is useful only in water body, cannot be done in solid mass like land. It increases water pollution due to chemicals because the emulsifiers that they use will ultimately be there in the water, and that water rich in emulsifiers is toxic. Again, these are not friendly chemicals, and and the oil emulsion that we have made have a stability period. After some time, that emulsion will break and the oil will be released again. So it's not a permanent solution. So it's only a temporary, quick method to clean the water bodies, large water bodies where large spills have occurred, but ultimately it's not a permanent solution. Coming to our core topic of the only eco-friendly method available today for treatment of bioremediation of all kinds is, treatment of oil spills of all kinds is bioremediation. As the name suggests, the use of bacteria and other small organisms to clean up or reduce unwanted concentrations of certain substances is bioremediation. As you see from this definition, it does not speak of oil spills. So actually, bioremediation is a generic term which is applicable to any unwanted spill, any unwanted substance that has contaminated the environment, and it can be something other than oil spills. But in our case, our specific topic is use of bioremediation for cleaning of oil spills. That's why bioremediation of oil spills. It's not only bioremediation. Okay. So our definition becomes the use of bacteria and other small organisms to clean up or reduce unwanted concentrations of oil spills. It was first, this term was first applied in 1979 at Minnesota, USA to treat oil spill due to leakage in crude oil pipeline. So again, its first application was done for a oil spill. The advantages and limitations of bioremediation. The advantages are, as the name suggests, we are using some microorganisms and small things. So we are not using any chemicals, we are not burning it, we are not filling it anywhere. So it's an environmental friendly method. It's economical in comparison to conventional methods. It's very simple to implement. You will all, when I'll explain you the process, how it is done, you will all come to know about that. And the byproducts are simple and non-toxic. So it's a true environment friendly method of treatment of oil spills. The only limitation, if we can call it a limitation, is that unlike burning something, unlike dumping something, it takes some time. And the time is not so much that it cannot be afforded. The time can vary from 3 months to 6 months, maximum 6 months. So that is not a period which cannot be afforded for treatment of a huge oil spill, which otherwise is causing severe environmental damage. How do we do it? How we do it efficiently? That is our next part of the lecture. Bioremediation, an Indian innovation. There is an Indian angle to the bioremediation that we have done in Ahmedabad asset. Now coming to the Ahmedabad asset, where I have personally supervised, monitored, implemented, executed the process of bioremediation. The Energy and Resources Institute, New Delhi, developed an innovative product, Oil Zapper, in 1996. After 7 years of extensive laboratory research, Oil Zapper is a consortium of bacteria. Actually, it's a consortium of 4 types of bacteria. And why 4 types? Because in a crude oil, you have got 4 types of components. There are paraffinic compounds, which are aliphatic in nature. Then there are aromatic compounds, and then there are asphaltenes and these kind of compounds, and then there are heavy components. So for all these 4 category of components, we need 4 types of bacteria, because each bacteria has got special affinity to act upon, to consume a particular type of organic compound. For example, if there is bacteria X, this bacteria X has got affinity to break down the aliphatic molecules of aliphatic hydrocarbons. It will not act on aromatic. Similarly, the bacteria which is there for aromatic hydrocarbons will not act on aliphatic hydrocarbons. So that's why we need a consortium of it. And it selectively consumes petroleum hydrocarbons and change it to simple non-toxic substances. Can you guess if we are treating an oil spill by oil zapper uh, to consume, to break down the different components of the oil, crude oil, into simpler compounds? What will be ultimately the simpler non-toxic compounds as the end products? It is nothing but carbon dioxide and water. Because in hydrocarbons, the crude oil is nothing but hydrocarbons. The main components are hydrogen and carbon. And hydrogen and carbon, when they are oxidized, they come in contact with oxygen, they form carbon dioxide. And this led to the development of innovative technique of bioremediation as an environmental friendly solution to the problem of pollution due to oil spills. I'm talking of Indian oil zapper. Since its inception, bioremediation has found many successful applications all over the world. This is the bag of oil zapper. You can see, he is Dr. Banwari Lal, who is the director of TERI. You know about TERI, the Energy Research Institute, and he is also the CEO of OTBL. OTBL full form is ONGC TERI Biotech Limited, is a joint venture between ONGC and TERI. In 1996, TERI developed a bacterial consortium, as I have already told you about the consortium also, to degrade crude oil from oil-contaminated soils, oily sludge. This innovative product known as oil zapper was invented by Dr. Banwari Lal, who is director of TERI, and this is a patented item in his name by TERI. Oil zapper is a bacterial consortium being manufactured in a bioreactor facility of TERI at Gurgaon. Actually, there is a place near Gurgaon, they call it as some glum. And there they manufacture this. There is a bioreactor. Oil zapper also contains nutrient carrier material and is packed in 15 kilogram HDPE bags. Actually, the bacteria needs some nutrients. So that nutrient carrier is there in the oil zapper bag itself, so that the bacteria remain live and useful so long as the material is packed inside the bag. Once the material comes out of the bag, the bacteria thrive on the oil. They eat the oil. Oil is their diet. And in the process of metabolism of eating the different components of the oil, they break it down to the carbon dioxide, and that is how it works. Oil zapper is functional up to 6% salinity and 60 degrees centigrade, which is good enough for all our operational condition of its use. This is when in 2007, the OTBL was formed. That time, Mr. Hajarika was the chairman of ONGC and OTBL, and R.K. Pachauri. You know about Mr. R.K. Pachauri? He was also the chairman of IPCC and the Director General of TERI, and also a Nobel Prize winner, Nobel Peace Prize winner with Vice President of the United States. They were the joint winners of Nobel Peace Prize, Al Gore, way back. And this Mr. Pachari and Mr. Hajarika were the two collaborators, and we formed a company called OTBL, and I was the coordinator for OTBL to get the bioremediation job done in Ahmedabad. Now, coming to the actual practical application of bioremediation project in Ahmedabad asset and how the bioremediation works. The oil zapper works to clean the oil spills. This is a very, very important slide which you will not find anywhere. I have compiled this data because I was the coordinator there. In 2006, we thought of doing some baby steps. We took some baby steps to do bioremediation of oil contaminated soil, and 8,232 metric ton of oily soil was bioremediated in 600 different locations. In 7-8, it was only 2,477. In 8-9, it was 9,883. And the locations are mentioned in front of them. In 2009 to 11, I took over in 2000, this period. And that time the contract was on the verge of finalization. And after finalization of contract, the first lot was 27,614 metric ton of soil. See the difference. See the difference in quantities. A huge step was taken to clear and clean almost the entire Ahmedabad asset of the major oil spills of that area. And these oil spills were there since the inception of ONGC, many of them at 74 different locations. And in these 2 years, we cleaned the entire 27,000 tons of soil, oil contaminated soil, by the method of bioremediation. Absolutely clean and green. I'll show you the pics later on and you'll be awestruck, I promise you that. And before I left Ahmedabad asset in 2013, we had already given the contract for another 36,000. It has been done successfully. Tons of oil contaminated soil at 95 locations. So if you add up 36 plus 627, is almost 63,000 tons of oil contaminated soil. Imagine, huge amount. Is almost entire Ahmedabad asset. All installations, all oil spills of all kinds since ONGC started was done under my coordination and supervision using bioremediation technique with the help of OTBL and their product oil Zapper. And it was done very successful. So huge work was done. How bioremediation is done in the field, I'll tell you everything very clearly stepwise. Bioremediation of oil contaminated soil, oily sludge is carried out in two ways: in situ, ex situ. In situ bioremediation, what we do is we do not transport the oil spill. Sometimes oil spills are there within the ONGC installations. So there itself, it is a barren land, we will put the oil zapper and this will be done. In ex situ technique, we will carry the sludge to a site called secured bioremediation pit, and in this we treat, like from farmlands, from forest lands, other ecological sensitive area where we cannot. So when we dig the soil from farmlands, what we do is we don't wait for the bioremediation to complete. We give them fresh soil from other places where the soil is available. So the farmer's only one crop is gone and he can start his next crop very easily in ex situ bioremediation. Now, what is a secured bioremediation pit? Is a centralized place to collect the contaminated soil. As I already told you, there is a high density polythene liner which is lined to do the to make it leaching proof, so that the oil does not leach through the bottom or sides of the pit to the nearby water bodies or nearby area, and sufficient volume of oil contaminated soil is kept in secured bioremediation pit. Now these pictures will clear you everything. This is a secured bioremediation pit under construction. In the second picture, you can see it has been constructed. In the third picture, you can see the liner is being laid. In the fourth picture, the liner has been completely laid, not only at the bottom of the pit, but onto the side walls also. This is a 500 micron liner for HDPE liner. What are the three steps in ex situ bioremediation? Excavation of oil contaminated soil, transportation of this soil to the bioremediation pit, and refilling of excavated land with fertile soil. In both the cases, the oil contaminated soil is thoroughly mixed before bioremediation. See, excavation, this is the oil contaminated soil and we are excavating it. This was the bioremediation pit, secure bioremediation site pit of the Ahmedabad asset. This was how the pit looked like. This is, we are filling the pit with the oil contaminated soil. Then it is half filled almost. Then before we start the addition of oil zapper for bioremediation, we will determine how much initial oil concentration is there in terms of total petroleum hydrocarbon from a specified certified lab. After that, we add oil zapper. Then we carry out the periodic monitoring of bioremediation progress. And tilling of soil and nutrient addition at fixed intervals is carried out. Second and third application of oil zapper may be done if required. If not required, we may not do. Sometimes second application is required. Normally, third application is rarely required. Approximately 5 kilogram of oil zapper is required for every 1000 kilogram of oil contaminants. It's a very important figure. Final sampling and testing of oil samples is done. This is, you see how the oil zapper, these are the oil zapper bags, and see how easy it is to apply the oil zapper. Simply you have to sprinkle it. And there is a JCB behind, you can mix it with that. See, this JCB is now mixing the oil zapper into the oil contaminated soil. Soil samples are collected before, during, and after the bioremediation is complete for measuring total petroleum hydrocarbons, moisture percentage, and bacterial count. These are the three things which are tested. Samples are tested in approved laboratories using international testing methods. Decline in total petroleum hydrocarbon indicates this is how the sampling of soil is done. See how we have now made a sampling plan, how the sampling rows are there, and we will carry out the sampling points are there. And this shows when the testing of total petroleum hydrocarbon is done, how the bioremediation progress is clearly visible. In 0 day, you can see the total petroleum hydrocarbon at different sampling points range from 21, 22% to 25%. After 1 month, it has come down to approximately 17, 15, 16%. Then after 2 months, it has come down to 10%. After 3 months, it has come down to 5%. After 4 months, it has come down to 2%. And after 5 months, it has come down to almost 1%. When it is less than 1%, we say bioremediation is complete. Bioremediation of oil contaminated soil is considered as complete when total petroleum hydrocarbon of oil contaminated soil becomes less than 1%. This treated and restored soil is full of biomass and organic compounds because you have a lot of bacteria into it, of all kinds of it. So a lot of biomass is there, and the nutrients are there, and organic compounds because the bacteria is nothing but in terms of that. And local plants or any other crop can be grown on bioremediated soil. Now, these are the examples. Before and after, as you see, for a weight loss program, they say a fat man on the left-hand side as before and after. But there they can do the fudging, Photoshop. This is not a Photoshop. These are the actual pictures. You can see the before bioremediation, the site was like this. And after bioremediation, how it has become, how green and clean. This is the actual picture from Navagam GGS2 ONGC Ahmedabad asset. Similarly, another picture. This is at Kalol ONGC Ahmedabad. See the left-hand side. You can't even think of going there nearby. And on the right-hand side, you can very well have a picnic with lunch or dinner there. Similarly, on the Jhalora GGS2, on the left-hand side, you can see a picture of contaminated soil, which is so bad that it's inaccessible almost. And on the right-hand side is a clean, clear farmland where anything can be grown after bioremediation. Similarly, another site at Kalol, on the left-hand side is an oil-contaminated site, and on the right-hand side, you can see the electric pole, both the places. These are the different companies who are using bioremediation bioremediation technique using Indian product oil Zapper. Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, Kuwait Oil Company, Numaligarh Refinery, Reliance Industries, HPCL, Tata Power, Zindal Petroleum, Oil India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Is now open for questions. Participants, if you have any queries, kindly put them in the chat box on your screen.
I think everybody has understood everything so well.
A question from Aviral Srivastav.
Okay.
So Avirul is asking how much time does it take to use bioremediation methods to be chosen for oil spills?
Yeah, as you have seen a graph I've shown you, from approximately 25% of total petroleum hydrocarbon in the originally contaminated soil, which is one of the highest contamination that can take place, it has come down to less than 1% in 5 months. So on the safer side, we normally give 6 months time, but my personal experience is it takes from 4 to 6 months to remediate any kind of oil contamination in any kind of soil by using this process of bioremediation using Indian product oil Zapper.
So
Okay.
we have a question from Surendra, whether 100% bioremediation was possible in agricultural lands.
Yes. When it is less than 1% total petroleum hydrocarbon, the soil becomes so fertile, and actually it's one part of the contract that the contractor, which is OTBL in this case, will grow something there and show us that the soil is good enough for growing. So bioremediated soil is as good as normal soil for any kind of crop, flowers, fruits, anything can be grown. It's 100% successful. Any other question?
Sir, I had a question too. If
Yes,
permissible.
please.
So why do we choose conventional cleaning methods in most cases rather than the bioremediation method, as it clearly has
We
so many
should not.
advantages over the conventional method?
We should not. That's why I wanted to
All right, sir.
enlighten everybody. Yeah, that is the whole
Okay.
purpose of coming here. See, I want all of you should be aware, because I know when I joined Ahmedabad, I said I was not aware of this term. Absolutely. And when I was given the charge of this coordination, charge of this activity, and when I saw it happening in front of my eyes, I've given you the real pictures. Those pictures have been taken by myself. See, so these are normally not done. This my whole idea was to enlighten the general public that there is a method which is so good, so cost effective, so environment friendly, and it should be widely used. It's being used by people who know about it. But in India, people try shortcuts and all those things. It's not good. But in ONGC and in major oil companies, bioremediation is the way of life.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So
Thank you so much, sir.
so
A
I can leave the
heartfelt
meeting now.
gratitude to you.
Thank
Sorry,
you so
sir.
much. Can I leave
Yes,
the
sir.
meeting now? Thank you. Anybody has any other question? You can give them my
So we
mail
would just like to
address.
give you a vote of thanks
Sir,
if
if
you
you would
have just a little more time.
if
Yeah, yeah,
if you
please.
would allow me to give you a final vote of thanks,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, please go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And like sir said, it was so nice of you, sir, to join us, to illuminate us, to be a part of this fest, to be a part of our team for so long. And the journey until date has been great. and I hope it continues to be great. Your presence here was absolutely phenomenal. That's the least I could say. And the topic, bioremediation, a step towards a greener future. It is such an important topic that we all should be talking about it. We all being energy enthusiasts, we all being future energy professionals. We all want to be future energy professionals. We should be talking about it. And thank you so much, sir, for illuminating us. So I finally humbly thank Mr. A.K. Joshi, ex-group general manager from ONGC, for joining us and enlightening us with this session. I thank our participants for joining us, and I thank ONGC for helping us in our venture, like always. Thank you, everyone. The participants may leave the meeting, and the meeting will be ended within 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you,
Have a nice day,
Appu, for wonderful words. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.